Hello, my name is Captain Lou Borelli, owner of Get the Net Fishing Charters here in Kendall, New York out of Bald Eagle Marina. I started fishing when I was a young child. Actually, my grandfather, I actually have a picture of him up on my dashboard here. He got me started fishing out of his boat in Fairhaven, New York. He had a small 19-foot fiberglass boat that we fished for smallmouth bass quite a bit. And I really took a liking to doing that type of fishing. And then when he passed away, he gave me his boat, and I would say the rest is history from there. So Get the Net started when we would smallmouth bass fish. We used a lot of really light tackles, so like 4-pound test, micro reels, ultralight rods. And as you know, smallmouth bass fight, pound for pound, they say one of the best fighting fish. We'd get close to the boat, we'd always scream, "Get the net, get the net." So that's kind of how the phrase happened, and every boat that I've owned has been named Get the Net. A funny story, but I took a buddy of mine up fishing on my grandfather's boat out in the lake, and it was super rough. And my friend spent the entire day throwing up over the side, and my grandfather kept telling me, "What's the matter with this guy? What's the matter with this guy?" That's one of the memories that sticks with me. For sure. It was really funny. I just don't think he understood that people get ill when they're in rough water sometimes. It was kind of funny. So I got his boat, and I was smallmouth bass fishing primarily. I brought the boat home, was fishing out of Rochester. And a good friend of mine, Larry, had a salmon boat. So we were fishing salmon in his boat and fishing for smallmouth bass in my boat. And then I finally made the decision at the time to, get rid of that boat, retire it. I was just having a lot of issues with it. Funny story is the last time I was out on that boat in Fairhaven, we broke down for probably the 50th time, and I got towed in under sail, with a sailboat under sail. They weren't even under power. So I said at that point, it's time to get another boat. So I got a 1999 Starcraft Super Fisherman 196. And I added downriggers so I could do salmon fishing and smallmouth bass fishing. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun stories with my buddy Larry and his boat. And then when I started salmon fishing in my Starcraft, I ended up getting my license in 2005 and actually ran charters out of that boat for 5 years, which was challenging at times. But it started a whole thing for me. My fishing business is small party fishing. So I take out typically 3 people, sometimes 4, and it's really all about taking families out, husband and wives, their parents with their kids, and I'm trying to pass on the knowledge that I've gained on the lake to these young kids. I get them involved when we're salmon fishing, have them pick out lures, and so it's kind of a unique business. I have probably the smallest charter boat on Lake Ontario. But I'm appealing to a whole different group.
Now, speaking of your boat, tell me about your boat. What exactly do you got here?
So this is a 2010 Hydra Sports 21-foot walk around.
And how long have you been fishing on this?
Since 2010. I bought it new in 2010.
It seems to do the job though, huh?
No, it certainly does. What I like about this boat is, so when I had my Starcraft and I started chartering, it was becoming very challenging. So I looked for 2-3 years to find a trailable boat, so a small enough boat that I could trailer, but big enough that I could fish comfortable in rough seas. And I ended up finding this boat in the New England Boat Show in 2010, in the spring of 2010. Hydra Sports was not even on my radar, to be honest with you. I looked at a lot of boats for 2.5 years, and when I saw this boat and I saw how it was built and the quality of it and the size of it, again, it's only 21 foot. I actually argued with the salesman at the boat show. I thought it was 25. And, lo and behold, no, it's just 21 foot. And it has 36 inches of freeboard. It takes rough water very well. And I can fish it comfortably with myself, my mate, and 3 or 4 people. It's great. Yeah. Well, so when it comes to charter boats, especially in a marina, you don't want to undermine your friends and your fellow charter captains. So, your rates want to be about the same as everybody else. But because I have a smaller boat and I'm appealing to a much smaller group of people, I can charge less because my operational costs are less, and I'm not competing with my friends in the marina. And so the way it works is if they have a charter that's maybe only 2 people, they may pass them on to me, and if I get a call and if somebody wants to take 4 or 5 or 6 people, I'll just pass them on to them. So it works out great. I've been caught in a few thunderstorms, that's for sure. One time I can remember, it's the second year I had the boat. I was taking out a friend of mine and his buddy who incidentally won the Eslo at the time and won a boat. He has a Grady White. So we took them out fishing and the lake picked up and they were all of 8-footers. And we had caught a couple fish and the gentleman said to me, "I've seen enough, let's go in." Another time that was a crazy rough water story. Again, it kind of relates to somebody getting sick. I was fishing out of Sandy Creek. It was a strong west wind. We were fishing for a little while. The gentleman wasn't feeling well. So when that happens, especially on my boat, I have a strict rule. We pack up and we go in. I care about the people and their well-being, and I want them to come back. So if they're getting sick and they're throwing up for 8 hours, they're never gonna come back fishing. So he wasn't feeling well. We started packing up rods and we were actually trolling back to port. So with a west wind, we were in the trough. And as we started to go, he was throwing up over the side and his son and his son's friend went in to help him. Well, we took a wave broadside and the boat tipped a little bit. It wasn't anything that I was concerned about. So we got back in and he said to me, he goes, "How come you didn't panic?" And I said, "Well, this is kind of normal." And he said, "When I was throwing up, my nose touched the water when we hit that wave." So that was probably two of the craziest stories that has happened on this boat. So what I would tell somebody that asked me, you know, what I could tell them that I've learned from experience that would help them gain knowledge of the lake is the weather is probably the most important thing. And we see it all the time. You go down to the boat ramp and it's a sunny day and, "Oh, I'm gonna go out fishing," or "I'm gonna go out pleasure boating," and they have no idea what the wind or the lake forecast is. So there's 2 apps that I use. Predict Wind is one, and of course then the NOAA forecast. And I actually use them both because sometimes they do vary, but it'll give you a really good idea of what the lake is doing. And the other thing is you kind of become a meteorologist. You understand high pressure. High pressure typically means light west winds. Usually means good fishing. Low pressure or Canadian high would mean maybe east wind or a northeast wind, which especially on the west end of the lake, which we are, it's going to get rough if it's an east or a northeast wind. The lake can be very dangerous. It can be very dangerous. As a matter of fact, it was 2 years ago we were fishing in a very strong south wind and we were offshore, so we were fishing with the waves, so it was a nice troll. We happened to notice a pleasure boater out of Oak Orchard, not too far from us, that kept trolling north. And we turned. It was a pleasure boat, but they were fishing. We turned. I get a call on the radio from a friend of mine who was further offshore than I was, just a much larger boat. And he watched them basically capsize. And a Canadian vessel rescued both of them, and unfortunately one of them succumbed to the water.
So it's definitely a dangerous place.
It's definitely can be a dangerous place. You have to have a lot of respect for the lake. We don't tolerate goofing around on this boat. You know, siblings get on the boat and I have 2 young children, so they're punching each other. We have no tolerance for it. We can't afford to have anybody go overboard, regardless whether they're good swimmers or not. You know, now the lake is maybe 60 degrees on the surface, 62 degrees. You can't survive in that type of water for very long. I have Canons, Digitrolls. We do like them. There are a lot of downriggers out there. What I do like about them is they're completely programmable, which is great. So, you know, if I'm setting rods, I can go over to my one downrigger, say with my probe, set it for 60 feet, walk away. While that's going down, I can set the other downrigger. So it's great. Also has jig mode, which is really great. So especially if fishing is slow and you want to get your lure action, you want to move and cover water, you can put it in jig mode and it will cover whatever distance, depth you want at whatever time.
Awesome. And what spoons do you use?
Typically, I use Warrior spoons, which is now owned by Dreamweaver. The gentleman that used to own Warrior, Mike Steffes, was a wonderful individual. I got hooked up with him a few years ago. Just a great guy, was always willing to help out. If you have an issue, he was right there, and unfortunately he passed away. But fortunately, Shane from Dreamweaver took the business over, and so now we are purchasing our Warrior lures from Dreamweaver. The rods that I like to use for my downriggers are Daiwa Heartlands, or Daiwa Great Lakes. For my Dipsy divers, I use the Fish USA flagships. Divers, the Dipsy divers that I am using are Lure Jensen. I also use Chinook divers, and I will be switching over shortly to the Dreamweaver Ninjas. I run long leads, and in this small boat, there's a lot of hand lining that goes on, and sometimes it's a little bit challenging. So we will be switching over to the Ninjas here real soon.
And do you run copper?
I do run coppers. I typically run a 300, 400, 450, maybe a 500. I also like to run a lot of lead cores.
Okay. And what do you like to run on your coppers?
What I like to run on my coppers, typically I'll run a clean spoon or I'll run meat.
What meat are you using?
I use rigged cut bait.
How do you like using rig cut bait?
I like using rig cut bait. The quality is actually really, really good. And what's great about the bait is that if you're trolling for a few hours, you have a piece of meat that didn't take a fish, you don't throw it away. I put it in my track. I let it dry out while I'm running back to port. By the time I get back to port, it's dried out. I can put it right back in the bag and freeze it, and it's as good to go the next time.
And what's your favorite trolling speed?
My favorite trolling speed varies. Typically will vary anywhere between, say, 2 miles an hour and 3 miles an hour. I love watching people reel in salmon. That is the main reason why I got my license. When I was fishing for smallmouth, I never fished for smallmouth. Somebody would catch a fish, I'd give them my rod, and that really drove me to get my license. The challenge for me as a charter captain is getting the fish to bite. I love watching people reel in fish. The excitement they get it's awesome. It's the best feeling. People can book a trip by calling me directly. I also have a website. It is gtnfishing.com. They can reach out to me through the website. I am also on Fishing Booker, but if you're seeing this video, you can just reach out to me directly at gtnfishing.com. Lake Ontario means the world to me. There is something about being on this water that just gives me an ease. You know, some people like to golf. I love to be out on the water, especially in the evening. There is nothing better than being out on the water and watching the sunset. It's incredible.